ChatGPT can write an email, build a lesson plan, analyze a document, create computer code, and help organize an entire project. But it doesn't think the way a person thinks, and most of the time, it's not searching the internet for an answer. What it's actually doing is both simpler and more remarkable. It's predicting what should come next, one small piece of language at a time. Once you understand that process, ChatGPT becomes much less mysterious, and you become much better at using it. Let's start by looking at the name itself. The word chat refers to the conversational interface. You can interact with the system using normal language instead of learning computer commands or programming syntax. You ask a question, provide instructions, revise the result, and continue the conversation much as you would with another person. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Each part of that name describes something important. First, generative. ChatGPT generates new content. It does not simply retrieve a finished answer from a database. It can create emails, reports, lesson plans, computer code, summaries, ideas, images, spreadsheets, presentations, and many other forms of content. That does not mean every response is completely original or automatically accurate. It means the model constructs a response based on patterns it learned during training and the instructions you provide in the current conversation. The second word is pre trained. Before you ever type a prompt, the model has already learned a tremendous amount about language. It was trained using large amounts of publicly available information, licensed data, and other training materials selected by its developers. But training alone does not explain how ChatGPT follows the relationships between ideas. That is where the final word becomes important. A transformer is a type of artificial intelligence architecture introduced by Google researchers in 2017. Its major breakthrough involves a process commonly called attention. Attention helps the model examine how different parts of a prompt relate to one another. Instead of treating every word as an isolated item, the model weighs connections across the sentence and the broader conversation. That ability helps ChatGPT work with context, tone, intent, relationships, and conversation history. And this is where the system begins to feel intelligent. It can follow an explanation, recognize that a later instruction changes an earlier one, or adjust its writing for a different audience. But understanding context is not the same thing as understanding the world exactly as a human does. The next part of the process explains why. One of the biggest misconceptions about ChatGPT is that it searches the internet every time you ask a question. It usually does not. Some versions of ChatGPT can use web search tools when those tools are available or requested. But the language model's core process is not searching, it's a prediction. You write a prompt, ChatGPT processes the prompt and the available context. It breaks the language into small units called tokens. It performs an enormous number of mathematical calculations. Then it predicts the token that is most likely to come next. After producing that token, it repeats the process, then it repeats it again and again. This happens so quickly that the response appears to emerge as complete sentences and paragraphs. Behind the scenes, however, the model is generating the response one token at a time. But what exactly is a token? A token is a small piece of language. Sometimes one token is an entire word. Sometimes a longer word is divided into several tokens. Punctuation marks can also be tokens. A word such as school might be represented by one token. A longer word such as administrator might require multiple tokens. ChatGPT therefore does not process text exactly as people do. It processes mathematical representations of these language pieces. A typical page of writing might contain roughly 500 to 800 tokens, although the exact number depends on the words, formatting, and language being used. Tokens matter because every conversation has a limited amount of information the model can actively consider. This working area is called the context window. The model continues this process until it determines that the response is complete. Modern AI hardware can perform these calculations at extraordinary speed. That is why a detailed response can appear within seconds, even though the system may have conducted billions of mathematical operations to generate it. This also explains why prompting matters so much. A helpful structure for building prompts is role, task, context, constraints, and output. The role tells ChatGPT what perspective or expertise to use. The task explains what you need it to do. The context provides the background information it needs. The constraints establish boundaries such as tone, length, reading level, required elements, or information to avoid. The output describes what the final product should look like. But we all need to be careful. ChatGPT may misunderstand what you intended. It may make an incorrect assumption. It may rely on information that is outdated. It may combine patterns in ways that produce invented names, quotations, citations, statistics, or events. These errors are often called hallucinations. And that is why human review remains essential. For routine brainstorming, an imperfect suggestion may be easy to recognize and correct. For student information, legal requirements, medical guidance, financial decisions, policy interpretation, safety procedures, or public communication, verification becomes much more important. The more consequential the decision, the more carefully the output should be reviewed. A useful way to think about ChatGPT is not as an all knowing expert and not as a simple search engine. Think of it as a powerful prediction and creation system. It reads the information available to it, it identifies patterns and relationships, it predicts the next token. Then it repeats that process until it produces a complete response. Strong prompts improve the context. Tools can give the system access to current or specialized information. Human judgment determines whether the final result is accurate, appropriate, ethical, and useful. So the next time ChatGPT generates a report, lesson plan, email, or idea in seconds, remember what is happening beneath the surface. It is not pulling a finished answer from a hidden filing cabinet. It is building the response in real time, one token at a time. And understanding that difference changes how you use it. The technology is complex, the mental model does not have to be. The next time you use ChatGPT, pay attention to the instructions you provide and the assumptions the system might be making. Then revise one vague prompt using role, task, context, constraints, and output. Compare the two responses. That simple experiment will teach you more about effective prompting than memorizing 100 supposed prompt writing tricks.